At first I was afraid, I was petrified. I kept thinking I could never live without you by my side.
What is up, everybody? This is hashtag follow the conversation, episode 29, I think. Episode 29. My name is Michael Nip, as always. And my name is always Michael Nip. And as always, your name is always Drewby.
This is a great start.
It's been a while.
We take a week off, and we just completely forget. Well, you completely forget.
We only took a week off because we put up 4 hours of content in 1 week.
Technically, we should probably just take this week off, too. You know.
We could have, if we wanted to.
But, you know, but then our listeners wouldn't have a show to listen to for the week, so. But maybe they even haven't finished all of last week's audio content either. I mean, that is 4 hours of flipping audio.
I don't think anyone else did because only one person entered our contest.
One person came forth and claimed to listen to everything. All of the road trip podcast.
It's road trip, bruh!
Is it required that you scream it in a Californian accent?
It's not California. It's required that you say it in the most obnoxious voice possible.
Oh.
Road trip, bruh! How's it going, Drewby? How you doing?
It's going.
How's work?
It's work. Today, I fixed like an entire section of a school. So
So screw that. Let's get down to the nitty gritty.
The nitty gritty.
There's been something you've wanted to say this entire week, and I've told you to hold it for the podcast. Give me your Arrow rant. You've been watching the TV show Arrow.
Okay.
I don't need context. What's your problem with Arrow?
I started making a list, writing down my The name is My Problems with Arrow Season 3. That's the name of this list. And I was watching the last episode that they put out, and I'm doing stuff on the internet, and then just kind of jotting things down as I think of it. I've got 4 things so far, but like the problems that they have, even though like you can categorize them maybe into 4 issues, like it's just okay. All right. So I kind of started to realize that after the last episode of Arrow, they're taking a break for 2 weeks or whatever, and they've revealed this. There was this reveal, and as I started to talk about it with other people about the show, I don't like Arrow nearly as much as I used to. I think The Flash is a better show right now, and The Flash will continue to hold my allegiance. I think I've been even saying that on the show, that Flash I think is a better show.
You've said that for the entire season.
Michael, do you remember the character Laurel in the show Arrow?
Yes.
Yes.
Laurel. Yeah, I do.
Okay. She is the first point on this list of my problems with Arrow Season 3.
Does it just say Laurel? Show me the list.
All right, so I don't know if is that reverse or not.
It just says Laurel.
Yes.
That's number 1 on the list.
Yes, number 1 on the list. Laurel. Okay. I'm
pretty sure I called this one.
Can I spoil just kind of what's happened to Laurel and why she's in the situation she's in? Is that okay?
I don't necessarily care. I don't necessarily care, but I think that there's probably people listening that may not be caught up. So try to not be too spoilery.
Okay.
We can talk about the things we've already talked about, which is that she becomes the fake canary.
Okay. Laurel as a character, I think, is just so emotional and so just. I don't know that she's written well. Like it's so there's no depth really. It's just like I'm gonna go around and whine and complain about everything, and I'm not gonna be cool with anything that's going on. I'm going to stand up to authority and reject it, and reject sound advice to do my own thing. When she has become Black Canary, and it has not been very good. Specifically in this last episode, she goes to a fight. She's trying to kill somebody, like kill this person. This person is better than she is, and so she fights and fights and fights. The guy basically, they fight for a little bit. She's like, he basically says, "You can't kill me." with sticks. You can't beat me with sticks. And she's like, I know. And then she pulls out this pistol and just points it at him. And then it's just like, why didn't you open with that? If you really wanted to kill this person, why aren't you like just like walk there and then just pull the pistol out and actually try to shoot him from the get-go? What purpose does it serve for you to go and bang? Now that has to do with the writers as well. Like perhaps they're just not writing the character of Laurel very well, but it doesn't help that the actress has no acting range. She can do one thing, and that is act emotional and kind of secure. Like she's either
I'm just so happy that you're seeing the light when it comes to this character, because I complained about the acting for the show for so long, and you finally come to the light side.
If I went back in season 1, Laurel was a strong. She's always been a strong character, but that strong and stubbornness has been so bad for her as a character. But the actors cannot act and deliver these lines, and she. Oh.
In a show full of bad actors and actresses, she stands out as being a class bad act.
Like before, like she is like something that is also like the we'll call it the honeymoon period with Arrow has kind of gone away, and I recognize now, and I've started to more recognize how not good of an actor Stephen Amell, the character. He is like
basically when he's not beating up bad guys, he's like the worst.
He does the exact same thing in every episode he is in. Like how many you could make a drinking game of all right, every time Oliver Queen throws his weapon into his other hand, take a drink. And then like his stance.
This might just be a meta commentary for you realizing that TV is just like procedurally generated and no one actually writes it anymore. Like once somebody writes a pilot, the show makes itself. This may become like a revelation for you.
Maybe.
This is why I don't watch TV.
But then, if this is true, like if this is actually happening in Arrow, why is it happening in these other shows that I watch? Or do I just not know?
Try?
Because they're trying.
And I think some of them do try. And to be honest, I think that you haven't reached the honeymoon period that you have with some of the other shows. Also, I do think that Arrow has extremely poor acting, like even worse than most shows.
It's yeah. So I
think if Arrow took itself less serious, it would probably be a better show.
Okay.
I think it worked for season 2, but I can't see it working knowing that Laurel becomes a main character.
And see, that's another thing. Like season 2, I really like season 2. Like I did too. I ended season 1 and I was like, okay, I want to watch the next one. Oh, it's not streaming. I'll just buy it. And I binged watched season 2. Like I was really into it.
It's amazing. I also did, and I don't watch TV. We just said that.
But
it's really good.
What happened? So anyway, Laurel. That's the point.
Laurel stopped taking drugs.
That was just stupid too. Anyway.
What's number 2 on your list?
Well, number 2 on this list that I wrote down is story. Now, I'm not sure, and I put some question marks behind it. I'm not sure if this is really a dig against the show, because what they are doing right now is basically taking a storyline out of Batman and putting it in Arrow. Now, I don't know that I have a problem with that. I think what I have a problem with more about the story is how slow it was moving. Like,
you know what you should watch? It's called No Ordinary Family. It's the show that moves the fastest of any show I've ever seen in my entire life.
Maybe I should check that one out.
That's a terrible show. Keep going.
But season 3 opened strong. It opened really strong, and I will say that they killed off a character. I will say that.
The appropriate character, the character that should be the canary.
Yes, you said it, not me. Yes, they killed that. They killed that. They killed Sarah.
Katie.
Yeah, Katie Lotz. I have some news about that, but I'll get to that. And so it starts off strong, and so then it's like, well, who killed her? Because you don't see who killed her, and so then you go through like the rest of the scene, like who killed her? Like what's going on? But they basically like drag that murder mystery out for like 9 Yeah, 9 episodes. You don't figure out
Have you
until
ever heard of a TV show called Twin Peaks?
Yes, I have heard of that show, Michael.
There are like 16 episodes of that show dedicated to figuring out a murder.
Okay. But is there actually important plots and twists in the case as you move forward in the murder?
It depends on what you... It depends on how into the vibe of Twin Peaks that you are.
Okay.
Evidently, you are not into the Arrow vibe.
Because the problem with Arrow is that the episodes in between, like as they're solving through, were not that good, and they didn't like they would spend like 45 minutes doing something random, and then like in the very last 5 minutes or whatever, it's like, oh yeah, by the way, here's this clue that might help you in solving this case or whatever like that. Like, and maybe that's kind of the way certain crime shows are. Like, garbage. I'm blanking, but that's not an unknown formula. Like, it's been used before. It's
a common thing. It's a common TV thing.
Yeah.
All right, so what's number 3?
And it didn't work. All right, so there's that. Drama. The CW drama in this show is just shot through the roof for season 3, and it is so stupid. Like, characters, like specifically this last episode, I was listening to a podcast where they were talking about the last episode. It was episode 15 of Arrow, and just the amount of dumb decisions that people are making purely based off of emotion is, like, the drama is just, it doesn't need to be here. Like, I feel betrayed because you did this, and I hate you. I can't imagine that I ever loved you. It is the most, it continues to drag down the show. And that's not helping. And we already talked about this with point number 4, acting.
I think America really likes drama, though. Bad drama.
That's
why we watch reality. And by we, I mean the collective America watches reality TV shows a lot.
How long has The Young and the Restless been running as a TV show?
Are you asking me like I'm supposed to know? Or are you trying to prove your point?
I'm saying that it goes to prove the point that you're trying to make. And that show is, I think it's been running since like the 70s.
1973 to now.
There you go. Yeah, so for over 40 years. A soap opera has been running as a show. So
Arrow's got like, 37 years to go?
There you go.
Twin Peaks was a soap opera. I guess it didn't make it. Probably because it was way better than a soap opera.
But it was probably more cheesy when the soap opera stuff comes on. Like, it's more cheesy or laughable. That it was more bearable. Like, this just isn't even laughable. Like, it's just like,
nice. You feel better?
I mean, this realization kind of came to me this last Friday when I was talking to your brother. When I was talking, not to your brother, to someone, another guy, friend, guy who listens to the show. But sometimes, I guess. But when I was talking to him about it, it's like,
you're not even gonna plug his name. You're just gonna reference this character. We'll call him the character. Don't reference his name.
The character.
We'll give him that credit. The character.
All right.
So you're talking to the character.
Yeah, I'm talking to the character, and it's basically like the realization, like, man, I really don't like Arrow right now, and it just kind of does. It kind of just dawned on me more, and so, yeah. So yeah, Arrow's not very good right now. I'm not really impressed.
All right, let's do a positive note to bounce off that.
Okay.
I listened to an album. We did a podcast on it. The podcast does not do the album justice. It's called The Wall by Pink Floyd. We finished it up.
You told me that you did not play any audio clips in that podcast.
I did not, because I don't think it does it justice to play an audio clip by itself from that album.
Okay.
So I recommend everyone on my Facebook, and by everyone I mean 2 people on my Facebook, were like, "Hey, how in the world is this the first time you've ever heard this album?" I said, "You know what? It doesn't matter. It's still really good. I should have listened to it years ago. It doesn't mean it's not good now."
Really? There were some people came forth in your Facebook pool.
Yeah.
Huh. Okay.
The other characters. We'll refer to them as the other characters.
So.
Possibly this week. We may have to delay it. We're working on another album called Fashion Nugget by the band Cake. That's the next album we're working on. That's what the clip at the beginning I played, I Will Survive. It was their cover.
What's the release?
Year?
Yeah, the year for that album.
1996.
All right. So you're coming back you're coming to a little bit more modern. The 90s is not modern, but...
We try to bounce back and forth a little bit. So
Get some
it's the
rain.
90s. Then we're gonna bounce back to some Bowie. Kim
Ooh, I'm excited.
Yeah, some more of that.
Yeah, get some of that.
You've been watching other TVs? I'm sure you have. I don't know why I asked that question.
Yes, I have, Michael. I watched The Matrix again this weekend. That's a good movie.
That's good.
I posted a picture on Facebook. The part where Neo realizes he's the one and he starts to like stop the bullets midair. I watched that. I watched. What else I watched this weekend? I watched a lot of different stuff. Oh, I watched Expendables 3. That movie I watched that yesterday. I had not seen that yet. I've seen 1 and 2, but I had not seen the third one. My brothers were over, and none of us had seen that movie, and so that's kind of a good opportunity when none of you have seen this movie. So we watched that. That movie is good. It's a little bit different than the previous Expendables films. All I will say is that they take on some young blood, and it kind of changes the dynamic of the action. And they actually make a reference to it, like it was funny. Like, what is this, 1985 or something? And, like, it was actually a line in the film. So, yeah. So you should check that out. I think you would find it funny. Maybe we'll have to watch that sometime. But yeah. You like the Expendables films too. I don't know if we've talked much about those shows.
I like the Expendables 1. The Expendables 2 was a movie that I enjoyed watching, but I don't know. The more they like ham-fist their own jokes into the movies, the worse that they seem to me.
Oh, really? You might not like this. Yeah, because I think that's kind of part of the whole facade.
I mean, it is part of the whole thing, but I don't necessarily. That's not my thing.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I feel like the Fast and the Furious films are the same thing I'm looking for in the Expendables without that kind of stupidity.
Okay. Okay.
It's a different kind of stupidity that's even better, or the same, whatever.
Quickly, I'll go over quickly. Agent Carter is over. All 8 episodes done. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. starts back up tomorrow.
Did they ever portray a man being able to do anything?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. I like that show. The ratings on that show were not that good. They started off like the first episode was, I think, somewhat strong, and then within to the third or fourth episode, it started to kind of wean out. Like ratings started to go down. So
wane out, but okay.
It just continues the constant theme on this website. So, but yeah, so that's over. We get to learn more about Inhumans when Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. starts again tomorrow. They're gonna delve into that plot hole, that plot line, that movie. The Inhumans. I wonder how much that TV show is going to play into the Avengers, because when in the Avengers film you've got Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver, who I believe are Inhumans in the Avengers in this Marvel Cinematic Universe line. So we'll see, I guess we'll see how that plays into that. Let me see if Flash is still out. I watched a fair amount of TV this weekend, but I don't think any of it is really anything Star Trek. I could go into Star Trek. I went into Star Trek last night. So.
Are you going to talk about Leonard Nimoy dying?
You had to bring that up.
Okay. Well, in a nerd culture podcast, I feel like it's relevant to at least mention the fact that Leonard Nimoy did die.
I wasn't going to. I wasn't thinking about that, but for those of you who may not be aware or who live in a nutshell, Leonard Nimoy, the character,
or who don't care,
the actor. I think here. All right, here's what I do. I'm gonna have dinner with my parents on Thursday, and I'm going and without telling them.
What are you holding?
This is the stand for my mic.
Okay, keep going.
Without telling them who died, I'm gonna see if they know, because that was like plastered all over the web, all over the news. Like everyone was covering it.
If I were to guess, your parents are not like the most current when it comes to normal people web stuff, but I'm guessing they saw that.
It was so. We'll see. We'll do that. We'll see if I remember. I'll do that test. But yes, Leonard Nimoy. He was the actor who played Spock. He also did some directing. He passed away at the age of 83 this past Friday.
If you've seen the new Star Trek movies, he plays old Spock.
Yes.
Spock from the past.
Yes, or the Spock from the future.
Well, the alternate. Well, it's like an alternate future. That's true.
Yes, yeah, it is from the future. But yeah, he plays old Spock, and he was the original Spock in the '60s show Star Trek. It was just called Star Trek, but it's known as TOS, the original series. Yeah, it was kind of it was a sad thing for me. I exaggerated a lot of my emotions for comical effect, but like it was still sad for me. He was as I like Star Trek. I consider myself a fan, and his it's such like probably the most iconic person who ever come out of that TV show, out of any of the TV shows. It was just a little sad for me in that regard. So.
I have two questions.
Okay.
To change the subject, what kind of beer is that behind you?
This is a Mountain Dew.
And this is actually Mountain Dew. This is not Mountain Dew or whatever that crap is you had last week. This is Mountain Dew in a glass bottle. Yeah. My second question: how do you feel about the term Trekkie? Is that an annoying term to you, or do you embrace it?
It doesn't. It doesn't really annoy me, but I don't know that I would call myself one. I don't.
Here's the problem. I think that a lot of the terms that people use to describe their fandom of something, like Whovian, I think they're all the worst. Every single one of them. Whether it's something I like or not. For instance, people that like Twin Peaks call themselves Peaksies.
Peaksies?
They call themselves Peaksies. And I think it's the worst thing I've ever heard.
That's terrible.
Trekkies, Whovians, all of them. They're all the worst. I hate all of them.
What would you call a fan then of any one of those? Would you just call him, yeah, he's a fan of Star Trek, or he's a fan of Twin Peaks?
Yes.
Okay. You wouldn't sum it down.
I think, I don't know. As someone that likes to frequently give things nicknames, I think those are terrible nicknames. Maybe if they were better, I could be okay. I don't know. What's the name of somebody that's a student in the Starfleet Academy? Maybe that has a better name or something. I don't know.
They're a cadet.
So like maybe if you called them cadets or like I don't know, something better than Trekkie or something better than Whovian or something better. Like those are all the worst.
Don't Lord of the Rings fans have a name?
I'm sure they do. Let's see. What do
I'm assuming it's something to do with the word token.
So that's what I would assume. Let's see.
Like a Tolkien.
Tolkien fandom. That sounds not terrible.
Tolkien?
Since it's just literally what it is.
I'm a Tolkien?
Let's see, Tolkien. Oh no. Tolkienist. They study Tolkienology. Oh no. Other terms describing Tolkien fans include Tolkienite or Tokendil. Nope, never mind. Those are all the worst. Alright, so they're universally terrible. They're all bad.
I'm gonna go around a Tokendil.
Call yourself a Tokendil? Nope. Never mind.
You should tweet.
I guess that proved that point.
You should tweet Alexa Ray Cray and ask her
if she prefers Tolkienite or Tolkien
or what she calls herself and those of her who are obsessed with Lord of the Rings.
All right, Drewby, what would you call this?
I would call that a piece of cardboard.
This is a piece of cardboard with plastic lenses. Well, they may be glass. I don't know. This is called Google Cardboard. I'm going to put it on my face. You see this? This piece of cardboard cost me like $25. There's also a magnet in the side and Velcro on the top. And there's an NFC chip in here, which probably costs like $1.
Why is there an NFC chip in there?
It does something with the phone. I don't know.
Okay.
So all you do with this thing, and I say all you do because it's amazing, is you put your phone in here, like so. Hold on. And then you put the Velcro back on. And then boom. Now this is a cardboard virtual reality headset. You look at your phone. You look at your phone through these lenses. And boom. And let me tell you what. It kind of works in a weirdly ghetto, janky way. Like, if this costs me $25 and it works as well as it does, I am extremely excited to see what the future holds for VR, which is exciting because there was a new VR headset announced by basically the controller of the PC market today. Called, I don't know what it was called, but it's the stupidest name ever. Speaking of stupid names, it's like the HTC
Vive. V-I-V-E.
Vive. The Vive.
I heard some people calling it like Vive. Like
Either way, it's terrible. But it looks cool, and I am all about, like, I don't know if we've talked about this before. Virtual reality is not only something that we've been thinking about since the days of the like original Star Trek, maybe before. Virtual reality is my only hope right now for me being able to live through the type of video game technology jump revolution like we experienced when I was younger when we first jumped from 2D to 3D. Because I remember that being the coolest thing. And I remember adults thinking it was so cool, and I was kind of getting to the point where I didn't know if we'd ever see that big of a jump again while I was not too old and cynical enough to actually be excited for something.
so.
And this right here, do you see this? These are grease stains from my forehead. These mark the beginning of my excitement for VR. And you know what this thing does? It lets me ride a roller coaster. It lets me walk around a Tuscany village, villa. Actually, it's just one house. And there's this weird AR game that I was playing where you look at a piece of paper, like you put the glasses on, you look at the piece of paper, which has a giant QR code, like the QR code spans the entire piece of paper, and it becomes the board game for this like battle RPG that I don't think actually works right now. But like you can get close up on it and like zoom in and like spin the battlefield around and like see it from different angles. It's basically a proof of concept for a way cooler idea. I don't know. This thing is like super cheap and ghetto, and people are saying that it's kind of comparable, but still not as good as the original Oculus Rift. And since then, there has been 2 Oculus Rift additions, builds.
Well, unless you count.
No, because Crescent Bay.
Wait. Okay.
There's the dev kit, then there's the dev kit 2, then they showed Crescent Bay, which the Crescent Bay isn't even going. The current Crescent Bay, they're saying, is not even as good as the consumer product yet. So by the time that gets to us, I have such high excitement and hopes for VR.
Here's the thing that I'm going to put in front of you and you see what you react to. And you probably thought about this. You just said by the time it gets to us. How much longer are you going to ride this wagon, and are you willing to ride this wagon for the Oculus? Now, before you answer that question, Steam announced their Vive headset developed by HTC, and they've already said that it's going to come out this year.
The Vive is supposed to be this year. Yes. Morpheus is expected to be this year, and so is Oculus.
Yeah, but Morpheus and Oculus have like the report. Previously, they were battling each other and going out. Now, Steam has come out and say, "Hey, we're doing this too, and it's coming out this year." Not Ben Kuchar, one of the guys from a VR podcast that you introduced me to, they were kind of talking.
3 Bens in VR.
3 Bens in VR. Was talking about this. That kind of made me think about it a little bit. Is that, these have been something that have said, yeah, we're getting it, we're gonna give it to you, we're gonna give it to you, we're gonna give it to you, but they haven't yet. And
But there's a reason for that. There has been virtual reality, in quotes, that people have tried to release in the past. One of the most notable failures is something called the Virtual Boy. Like, are you familiar with the Virtual Boy?
not
Virtual
really, no.
The Virtual Boy was, I believe it was the 80s or the 90s. Let's see. Virtual Boy, Wikipedia. Virtual Boy. 32-bit. Okay, 1995, the Virtual Boy was released, which was basically a VR headset with a controller similar to this, only it was 1995 technology. And it was so bad that I think it forced people that were thinking about working on virtual reality, possibly. It basically turned the consumers so sour on it that it stopped virtual reality for a long time. Like, I didn't hear anything about it for a long time, and now that we're getting to this point, I think, and Oculus is on record for actually saying very similar things to this, they're so afraid that somebody is going to release early. And like Oculus has said, we're not necessarily afraid of competitors that much, especially because they have Facebook money now. Their main concern is that somebody releases VR and it's really crappy and people get it, and it's really like garbage, and then everyone gets turned off VR before the Oculus is even dropped. Because the Oculus is trying to make...
That's an elitist attitude, though.
That's not an elitist attitude at all. It's capitalism.
That's them saying that our product is going to be better than everybody.
No. They've said they're not afraid of it. Like they've said when it comes to they were asked specifically about Morpheus, and they said we see Morpheus as a competitor, but we're not necessarily terrified about them releasing a product because it works well. They're afraid of somebody releasing a bad VR product that sours everyone. I don't think they're necessarily saying we're going to be the best, though of course that's what they're trying to do.
All right, I take that back up. After I said it, I was thinking, no, that's not it. It's them giving themselves the attitude that it seems to me that they're just like, yeah, we rule the VR space, and what we say go. It just comes across all wrong to me when they say something like that. Like, we're afraid that someone else is going to ruin this whole product. Like, and we're not going to be able to release ours and make sure that and make it right. Like, it just. I understand what they're saying, but it just comes across all like snobby.
I mean, if you were making cookies, and someone came in and undersold cookies, I always use cookies for all of my analogies now. This is just going back to a previous conversation earlier this week. So if you're making cookies, and you have a really, really good cookie, and you want to sell them by the dozen for $5, and someone comes along and says, "Hey, we'll give you cookies for $2.50," and their cookies taste like crap, and then people are like, "Oh, we don't want cookies anymore." You may have the best cookie in the world, but if everyone is soured on cookies, your cookies will be worthless, and even if they're amazing, they'll never be accepted as being good.
Yeah, that would be frustrating.
It's a completely understandable thing. Yes. I don't think it even comes across as being that weird. They've actually seemed super friendly about it. They don't have problems with Morpheus. I bet they don't have problems with the Steam VR. Whoa. The real... Go ahead.
On the podcast, Drewby in VR, they were talking about like Valve and Oculus they've collaborated in the past, working on certain things. So that relationship may not be that bad. It's just
I think I think they're just, they want a piece of the pie or whatever. They're not even 100% sure that this is actually Valve's product, or if Valve is just saying, hey, this will work with Steam, which is more what it sounds like right now.
If that's the case, then that changes like the whole dynamic of that, because HTC is developing this thing.
Yes. So now there are 4 VR headsets, because Razer also is announcing a VR headset. The biggest question will be whose headset is the best for the right price. And that's the problem that I'm going to face this year, because I'm expecting 3 VR headsets to come out this year, and I'm not sure which one I will go with.
Here's the thing, and again,
I really think the Rift is... Go ahead.
My source of knowledge for Oculus is coming from that podcast, but what one of the points they made was if you buy an Oculus, you're going to need a powerful computer with a computer with a powerful graphics card. If you go with the Steam VR, you'll probably need a computer with a powerful graphics card. If you go with the Morpheus and you have PS4, you're already set. So the question the real question is going to be more like, is the PS4 powerful enough to handle this correctly and it still be good technology?
And the thing that it comes down to is what is going to be the baseline that people expect from VR technology. The problem with people's PCs and using VR technology is that for VR games to run correctly, you need to have a PC capable of running 2 screens at minimum 1080p, though more than that for the newest versions of Oculus, at 90 frames per second. That's the problem that we have with PC and Oculus, because for things to run correctly without making you sick, because people have had a lot of problems where early versions of VR have just made them throw up, because it's basically called simulator sickness, and it's when you have bad resolution or the lag is too bad when you're moving your head around, it will actually make it's really weird. I read a giant article on it. Basically, virtual reality is tricking your body to thinking that you are somewhere else, and the more dissonance your body feels when it's realizing that you're not really there but you kind of think you are, the sicker it can make you. So the more that you have to, the way that you get around that basically is having higher resolutions and higher frame rate. And to get that high of a frame rate at that resolution on 2 different screens, your PC needs to be relatively beefy. I think my PC right now could probably run many of the games, because a lot of the games, because of this hardware problem, they're running at a lot less power. So there are games like Team Fortress 2 that don't require a lot of power, or actually Team Fortress 2 is probably one of the better resolution, better looking games that I've seen, because it's relatively lightweight. It's been out forever. A lot of graphics cards can run it. But if they want to get better graphics to run on these VR machines, that's going to take some serious hardware, and that's where the Oculus versus the Morpheus comes into play, because and honestly, the thing that makes it most interesting is, where are the developers going to go, and will they work on both things? Because like every single console ever, it's all about the games. So if the Sony marketplace recognizes that it has a lack of power, and all the developers go there because they're 100% guaranteed. It's the console experience. If you make a product for the PS4, it's going to work on the PS4. Mm-hmm. Whereas if you make a product for the PC, it may or may not work depending on your PC specs. That could be a draw, or that could be a drawback, depending on the type of game that you want to make and the types of things that you want to deal with, and how much Sony or the PC incentivizes them. So basically, wherever the games go are where I care about going, but it's a weird future for VR.
In the indie space is going to be something to keep an eye on throughout all of this. Mm-hmm. Indie games have largely gone to the PC in the past, but with the Sony making such a large push for, hey, indies, come to our console, and indies have seemingly been okay with it. It's been a decent experience.
Yeah. If they play their cards right, they could get the indies to make the games for the PS4 Morpheus, and if they get that to nail right, they could have some serious, especially compared to when you say hey, Sony has all the indie devs and they're making all these virtual reality things on this side, and you've just got the Xbox One on the other side who has no plans to do this right now. That's a huge, huge reason for Sony to try to push this. And if they do push this and they nail it, because I'm semi-sidetracking, but it has to go with it. When you're thinking about what place gets the most indie games, the answer is the iPhone marketplace.
Whoa. Okay.
That's where you get the most indie games, if you're just looking at sheer numbers. Because you're only developing for one-ish device, 2 devices, whatever, some couple firmwares, but honestly, it's not that much. So you know that when you make it, you only have to troubleshoot it for so many devices. And it's this open marketplace, and they have draws, they have ways to feature these artists. That's why the number one place for indie games is the iPhone marketplace. if Sony can position themselves to use that same exact kind of reasoning, they can nail this. The Morpheus could take off, and that would be where I would want to be. I don't know. It's hard to tell. Then again, I expect if there's ever going to be a Half-Life 3, it will be in VR. I've said that many times.
Yeah. Well, there was an article on GameSpot about talk about HTC chairwoman discusses Half-Life, but stopped short of confirming anything. Like talking, I guess this article talks about how she would like Half-Life to be on the HTC. It's basically VR, but I would assume that if you had an Oculus, like it would work. That it would also work for that headset.
Yes, right now the Half-Life 2 in Oculus, people have said is amazing, especially when you consider the basically Half-Life 2 starts off with this incredibly like scene building atmospheric like stuff that's going on, and you haven't. It's hard to describe. You haven't been in VR yet. I'm actually going to show you this real quick. I'm going to pull up my phone, and this will not work for the audio version, but you'll be able to hear what I'm saying. So, it's just an app, basically, that's on the phone that's free called Cardboard, and I'm going to launch Roller Coaster VR, which is the first demo that I got working. And it is incredibly hard to describe how this works, but I hope to show you sometime. Let's see. It takes a second to load on my phone, because my phone's not incredibly powerful. I'm going to take a drink.
Okay. Also, yeah, it's going to be, I mean, that's going to be the big thing. Like, now Oculus has a competitor in HTC, but Morpheus still kind of stands on its own as far as the console. It doesn't have it's the Sony's biggest competitor is Xbox right now, and Microsoft hasn't said anything.
It doesn't have a VR option. Oh,
right.
Really loud.
Not yet.
Okay. So one of the problems with Half-Life is it doesn't look as good as current games now. I think a lot of things in Half-Life hold up. Some of them don't. And one of them is the graphics. And the thing is, compare it to something like this, which I'm going to show the screen. This is what the game looks like on my phone when you're... there we go. I'm just launching that. This is what the game looks like on the phone when you are looking at the phone without the glasses on. These are pretty bad graphics. It doesn't do anything special. But when you slide it in here, and the only thing in your vision is this, and it's the lens is basically what is it the lenses do? Zoom in. What is the word for zoom in? Magnify. Thank you. They magnify this so it fills most of your field of view, and the Oculus and stuff, of course, fills way more of your field of view. It changes something that looks relatively crappy, and some of these demos just look crappy, and it makes it something incredible, which is what people are saying about the Half-Life 2 demo. So even if you get a game like Team Fortress, like even if Half-Life 3 is not this insane graphical powerhouse because they don't have, they're still using the what's the Steam engine or the
garbage.
Whatever it's called. Source engine, because they're still using Source Engine 2.0. If you get it to work in a like if you obviously the newest Source engine looks like Portal 2, which looks a lot better than Half-Life. If you get it to look like that and you can get it to run on something like this, that's the kind of thing that basically, and I'm going to rip this off from the Three Bens of VR podcast, nobody has made the killer app for VR yet. So this is a giant arms race to see who can get the app that makes this thing. Obviously, we're talking third world problem, whatever. Like we're rich, we live in a rich society where we have spending money and stuff. Who's going to make it the necessary thing? Like if you want to play the coolest games, what's going to make this thing the necessary thing? And that's what everyone's going to be racing towards.
Does Elite Dangerous in VR interest you at all?
A little bit. Super, super, super heavy simulation games like that game don't necessarily crazy interest me. I don't have a joystick. I don't have a flight wheel. Like I don't have any of this stuff, so a lot of it would be lost on me. But like the idea of being able to pilot a ship from the inside is, of course, pretty sweet.
Mm-hmm. Right. Listening to Drew Scanlon at GameSpot, Giant Bomb talk about this game. Like, if could get a fight stick and a VR headset or to play that game, like that could be something that I get like so immersed into, like possibly. But also, it's like super simulation heavy. That I mean, I don't know. But
I'm sure our friend Jack Gershman enjoys you mixing up Giant Bomb and GameSpot.
Anyway, that game is probably the one that if I had a VR, that's like the one I would invest money and time into, and is that. So if you haven't heard Elite Dangerous, check it out. It's pretty cool concept what they're doing with that game. So
yeah. Anyway, so that's VR. I'll keep you updated.
That's VR
or whatever. There was a horror game available on this that I downloaded. I am incredibly afraid to play it. There's no way for me to record what's happening in the video, but yeah, I'm afraid actually. I want to put headphones on and like put it in the dark, and I had a rubber band, basically a giant rubber band that I was strapping this to my head so it would stick.
Oh, is that? Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, there's that. I played another game called Roundabout. That's semi-current actually, like relatively. Yeah. Before I go into anything else, I'm going to mention the number one thing that I've seen in indie games recently is if you are a video game, I correct myself. I can think of 4 games with female protagonists.
4. Okay.
Recently. There's way more than that. Recently. 3 of them have lesbian characters. It's like the biggest like spoiler plot twist thing that's not actually a spoiler. Like, remember when I told you we were like I was playing a bunch of random anime games, and like one of their spoiler plot twists was that one of the characters was secretly, in quotes, the other gender.
Okay.
Remember when we had this conversation? There was like a bunch of Japanese games I played at once, and like there was a character pretending to be the other gender for whatever reason.
Was that Danganronpa?
Danganronpa, Persona. There's a bunch of them. Fire Emblem. There's a bunch of them. Anyway.
Yeah, I vaguely remember that conversation.
The newest trend right now is if you have a female protagonist in the game, she's a lesbian. Like, it's this thing that people sometimes try to play up of like, it's almost like they're trying to have it be like a plot twist or like a thing that's building up like to a surprise. But we've reached the point now where if you have a female protagonist in your game and they have a female friend, it's almost positive that that they're going to fall in love. Like it's the most. It's becoming a cliche, and I'm going to keep everyone updated with how often that happens. Happens in Roundabout. Okay. Roundabout is amazing, and okay, Roundabout is it's kind of like a puzzle game. Like, do you know what it is?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
It's a cartoony looking game where you drive a limousine that spins around in a circle constantly, and you have to drive in and out of different crevices trying to get around town. You're like a taxi driver, but your car's always spinning. So, the way that the gameplay plays out... Now, no, I'm not trying to 100% any of the levels, because I don't think the gameplay is that fun. I find it a little bit frustrating. The thing that I do like in the game is I am a sucker for terrible FMV video, full motion video. I just said video twice. FMV video is full motion video. On purpose, the acting and the dialogue and everything that has to do with the cutscenes of this game is all of the worst and thus the best thing about the game. It's all terrible. Okay. The main character is a silent protagonist that just stares at people, and there's a host of all these super random, super dumb characters, and the way that it plays out is wonderful. It's right now, one of the main characters is your character takes drugs at one point to try and improve her skills at driving, and she goes on an acid trip and imagines that there's a skeleton in the backseat who talks to her, and right now he's kind of her only friend because...
Okay.
Okay, hold on. Okay, so in a game, I told you the premise of the game is that you drive a revolving limousine.
Yes.
Let me tell you a little bit of how wacky this story is, right? So you drive a revolving limousine, you get a phone call from someone who I think his name is Rodrigo, and he tells you that he wants to see you drive. When he sees you drive, he says, "Wow, that's the coolest thing ever," and he also becomes a revolving limousine driver. But he's better than you because his car is better. So you work your way up to being able to defeat him. But your car's not good enough, so you have to get the ability to get your car to jump, so you can jump over buildings, so you can be better than him. Well, in the final race of like the first act, you accidentally run him off the road and he dies. And so your character goes into seclusion.
Okay.
Because she's sad that she murdered this person. She grows a beard. You're a red-headed person, and like when the game cuts back, she just has this giant, like obviously like elastic beard around her face.
Okay.
And she's abandoned all of her friends because she's so ashamed that she murdered Rodrigo. And so basically the drug skeleton comes back and tells her that she needs to get more drugs because it will make her friends like her more, which of course is a lie, but she doesn't know that because she's talking to a drug skeleton. This is the premise. This is the plot that's at the point that I'm at in Roundabout. So as much as I don't really like the game, it is very forgiving as far as like letting you fail and like getting checkpoints that are right behind where you failed, so I can keep playing through this absurd mess of a story.
You may have said that the premise was Roundabout limousine, but I already knew what it was. The story, the full motion. So what are you, like an hour into the game? 2 hours into the game?
Maybe like 2 hours.
Okay, and you're only so I'm assuming what 3 acts. Do you know how long this game is?
I don't actually know how many acts there are. I'm in the third area to drive around in that I've ever been to. I imagine it's not that. I imagine it's a lot longer if I actually gave a crap about doing well in the puzzles, because like you can get percentage-based scores on the puzzles, and I'm just taking whatever I get because I don't care. I don't think the game is that fun.
Yeah, we talked about that. Okay, main story on Roundabout 2.5 hours.
Yeah, so I've got to be nearing the end-ish.
Huh.
It's a weird game.
Okay.
Super weird. I don't know if I can necessarily recommend unless you really like stupid FMV, in which case I would highly recommend, because that's what it is.
Okay. Speaking of stupid games, I played Jazzpunk a little bit.
Oh, yeah. Did you play any more since we talked? We haven't talked about it on the show anyway.
No, I haven't played any. I haven't played any since I told you about it. That game.
So you played the first level then?
Yeah, I played the first mission. I'm not.
Out of 3?
I don't know if my game's saved, so I might have to replay the first level.
It doesn't take that long.
Now, there's only like one thing I really want to go back and do, because there was this. I found like this dude or whatever. He's like, "Hey, take this over to the next mission," and like you swallow a bird. And so like I need to go back and get that bird if I have to play through it, and then take it into the next mission so I can see what happens there. But yeah, that game is strange. Like I kind of knew it was gonna, like, it's a weird game or whatever, but like even that didn't really prepare me for like what was gonna happen in that game. Like, it's just so
nothing can
weird.
prepare you for the Jazzpunk.
That game is off the wall. Maybe.
I can think of no way to describe Jazzpunk to people.
Okay. It's what genre would you place it in?
Well, I'm pretty sure Steam has it under the hashtag walking simulator, which is what they like to put on any game that doesn't have a ton of interactivity. It's like supposed to be an insult, but now it's just kind of a joke in my brain.
I'll look it up.
I mean, it's an adventure game technically, I would say.
Yeah. The trailer. Do you remember the trailer for that movie?
I remember the trailer.
Like the real, like.
It's insane.
Genre adventure indie.
Yeah.
So, publisher Adult Swim.
So yeah, I don't know.
Games.
That's a weird game. It's a weird game.
Yeah.
We've also been playing The Crossy Road.
Yes. So this kind of happened because
everyone that's listening needs to join the Crossy Road revolution. And then I'm going to say something I've never said in my entire life. Add me to your Google Plus circle. Get on Google Plus and add me to your circle so I can beat you at Crossy Road, where Drewby can beat you at Crossy Road because he's winning right now.
Yes. You kind of started us. I played that game a little bit and set a record or whatever, but then I kind of got out of it. You got into it and then beat my record.
Mm-hmm.
So I
beat
morning.
Yours and my wife's record.
Yeah, and then I beat yours and your wife's record this morning. So
the onus is on me or you, listener,
or me to set it higher.
Or you to set it higher. I find that the drive is a lot less when you're in the lead, though. Like I bet now that I'm behind, I will be doing better than when I was in first place, just trying to set it higher. I feel like you need the eye of the tiger.
I had been struggling to get really far and set a record again, and I beat mine by a lot, like almost 100 points more.
Yep.
So since you were ahead, so yeah. I got my lucky goat, and we will continue forward.
That theory did not work when it came to threes. I cannot beat anyone's score at threes. I am in third out of fourth place. I only beat our boss at threes. That's it.
I do hold the top score in threes as well.
By a lot.
That game can be tough. It's a good game though. Yeah. So. Let's see what else.
Maybe eventually I'll beat Wind Waker, but maybe not because I'm pretty sure next week. I'm almost positive next week is Hotline Miami 2.
Oh, that's coming. And the end of this month, Bloodborne drops.
And I'm almost positive that it's going to launch on the Vita, which is where I will play it.
That's probably where you want to play
Hotline Miami on the Vita. I full completed Hotline Miami 1 on the Vita. And I fully intend on playing a crap ton of Hotline Miami 2 on the Vita.
Did that game launch 2012? 2013. I think it was 2013.
I don't even know. I bet it was 12. Hotline Miami release date. Only I typed release wrong. 2012.
2012.
October.
The game is old. I remember when Carolyn Pettit reviewed that game at GameSpot.
Did she?
Yes.
I thought somebody else did.
No.
Whatever.
I'm gonna pull it up.
In the meantime, there's Bloodborne is coming out this month. That's the thing that I'm number 100% excited for. Bloodborne.
Oh, that's Dragon Blood. Right. What's the Far Cry DLC? That is like Far Cry 3 DLC. Like Blood Dragon.
Blood Dragon? Yes. Blood Dragon.
Yes.
Yeah, Bloodborne I am so pumped for. I'm ready for Dark Souls.
Watching those trailers. You ready for it's not Dark Souls though, it's different.
But it's like the dude that made Mega Man, who started his own NES studio, and now he's making the game called Mighty Number 9, and technically it's not Mega Man, but like clearly it's like the next generation of Mega Man. This is the next generation of Souls, made by the creator of the Souls series.
Demon Souls and Dark Souls. Not Dark Souls 2,
yes.
But
yes. Which he only oversighted. Like he was semi-involved, but he was not the main creator, because he was working on Bloodborne for the last long period of time since Dark Souls. So I don't know. I'm super pumped. We'll talk about that a lot, I'm sure. I'm sure I will have weekly updates of that game.
I was wrong. It was Danny O'Dwyer.
I thought it was Danny because I'm almost positive that was his first review for GameSpot.
Oh. That's a game to come in on then.
Yeah, it's a great game. I watched some TV shows. I guess I should have talked about that when we were talking about TV shows, but I've only watched a couple. I watched 2 episodes of Flight of the Conchords and 1 episode of 30 Rock, and I will say that judging from those episodes alone, I'm a giant fan of the series so far, of both of those.
Yeah.
Flight of the Conchords is so stupid. Drewby, you should actually watch that because it's on Amazon Prime for free. Or for streaming, Prime members. Yeah. The first season is.
Okay.
You should watch that.
I don't know that I've heard of this thing, Flight of the Conchords.
Okay, so here's the thing. I don't remember why, but I've seen it before, and I remember really thinking it was funny. It is an HBO show, but if you look it up on like IMDb, it's not really. It's mainly because it has strong language. There's not nudity or any of the other HBO stuff in it.
New Zealanders Brett and Jermaine, aka Fight of the Concord, search for romance and gigs in New York City. At a bohemian party, Jermaine falls for Sally, who used to date Brett, but Brett spoils the moment back at their apartment.
Yeah,
it's
funny.
How did you hear about this show?
Okay, so I think I saw it on an airplane once. I think I remember our mutual friends Mac and Jeremy, not the character, the other one, liking it. And then randomly, I was looking for comedy TV shows on Amazon Prime, saw it, and was like, holy crap, I think I remember the show, we have to watch it. And then we did, and it was good.
Okay.
So, I'm going to continue watching that for now.
30 Rock, 30 Rock is now in my list, my Netflix list.
What do you mean your Netflix list?
I added it to my my playlist.
It's streaming?
30 Rock is on Netflix.
Are you sure? I just looked the other day.
Yes, seasons 1 through 7.
I see that it's streaming. Or not streaming, I see that I can get it for DVD.
No.
It's going to be the greatest news of my life. Hold on, I'm logging into Netflix.
We're talking 30 Rock with Tina Fey and Alec Baldwin.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. Oh, I thought I looked for this the other day and it wasn't there. That's why I bought the first episode. And that's why I haven't watched it anymore, because I didn't feel like buying the season because it's like $30.
Well, it's probably a good thing you did buy the season then.
I'm so excited now. Hold on. Now Netflix is going slow. No! Drew, I can't see you anymore. This is a good podcast.
According to my watch list, I have watched the pilot and part of the second episode.
Oh, it is! I'm so excited, Drewby.
You're welcome,
yes. Bro. I'm going to start watching this.
Okay.
Oh, crap! Did I close the window? Are you there?
I'm here.
Yeah, pause the show.
We're still live.
Let's wrap this chink up. I'm hungry. I haven't eaten dinner yet. And I want to watch 30 Rock.
And you can watch 30 Rock now.
Anyway, people, we're about to leave. So, Drewby, how do people find... It is so hot. How do people find you outside the show?
Outside the show, you can find me facebook.com/Drewby132, twitter.com/Drewby132. If you want to follow me on Google+,
we're both on Google+. You can follow us.
I will let you. There's a link on my Twitter profile to my Google+, and you can follow me there. There was a clip that I shared on there today of it was a GIF of someone playing Call of Duty, and he pulls up his sniper scope and he's looking at these crates far away, and then this dude pops up in the scope, and then it goes over to this little black kid who like jumps back and starts crying because he got scared.
It's a very, very good GIF.
Are you being sarcastic?
No,
Okay.
I very much liked it.
Okay, so you can check, and if you would like to email me, you can email me drewby132@gmail.com, or you can email the show, both of us, the culture of my people @gmail.com.
Yep. My name's Michael Nip, MICHAELKNIPP. You can find me at twitter.com/MichaelNip or facebook.com/TheRealMichaelNip. Drewby already gave out our email address, but if you want to listen to the audio version of this podcast on the road, as adults are likely to do, or while you're playing Minecraft, as my brother's likely to do, you can find the audio version on iTunes, or BeyondPod, if you happen to be of the Android ilk. We got another podcast, the end of the week, maybe. Scheduling problems aside, we're going to be doing a podcast, like I said, on the Cake album Fashion Nugget. And that's mainly... Wait, may or may not...
Did you just say pumpkin?
Yeah, I don't know. I may or may not be working on a side project that may or may not get published, so I'm not even going to talk about it. Pulling a Johnson.
Okay.
So for hashtag you don't like me to pull your Johnson, Drewby?
Just go. End it. Just.
So for hashtag follow the conversation episode 29,
Maybe.
possibly. I can actually check. Hold on. 29.
Okay.
Oh yeah, by the way, if you listen to our last podcast, I actually don't give a crap about Monster Hunter anymore. So
Yeah.
hashtag follow the conversation episode 29. This has been me, Michael Nip, and as always, Michael Nip, and as always, my co-host.
Drewby.